Incoming hostiles.
Welcome to Ware Gaming Weekly for the week of June 5th, 2019. My name is Nick, and alongside my blah blah blah, as every week, is my brother Josh. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
If you didn't know, Ware Gaming Weekly posts every Wednesday on YouTube.com and on podcast services. And you can find more about us at waregaming.com, and you can tweet to us at waregaming_, or you can be a part of the show where you can write into weekly@waregaming.com.
It might be a good idea to go on and talk about
next week. Great. Let's talk about next week. So we have a few things happening.
The biggest news of next week is going to be E3. E3 happens. It starts Saturday with the EA Play event. Basically, they do an all-day event where they're going to show a bunch of their game titles, including, most importantly, Star Wars. What are they calling it?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
Jimmy Fallon Order. No, but well, that'll probably be the one thing for us to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it. I don't know if they're going to mention it. I mean, yeah, FIFA, one of the biggest franchises that we don't care about. Madden, another big franchise that we care every 4 years about. Like, oh, well, I want to play some football. And we buy the football game and we play it 3 times and leave it there. So,
yeah. But because it is E3, we will be doing a few videos more than normal next week. One, we will be doing a recap video on the Microsoft press conference that happens on Sunday. Most likely that video will come out on Monday. And then we decided it would be best for time's sake and for, everything else, that we're going to do a separate video that's just all the third parties. So the EA press conference, the Bethesda, the Square Enix, Ubisoft, will all be their own video. It'll probably be much longer than Microsoft because there's so much more to dig through. But we're going to separate Microsoft, then we're going to do third parties, and then and that'll come out on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do kind of a recap of everything that we've experienced.
We'll have Nintendo news at that point as well. And then we'll just kind of give our overall impressions of the conference this year with Sony's absence, and there's a couple, different shakeups, and just to see how strong of a year that it is for E3.
Absolutely.
And just our overall, see what our expectations were, and
So. And then so Monday, expect a Microsoft video. Tuesday, expect the third parties video, and then on Wednesday, expect everything else, the normal video where we recap everything. So. Why don't we just go ahead and get started? We have quite a bit of news this week as everything's getting ready for E3. So we're going to get started with the who, what, and the where. And something that we rumored last week came true a few days later, which is Death Stranding is coming to PS4 this November, and there is a new trailer. This write-up comes from Michael McWhorter on Polygon. Kojima Productions offered a new look at Death Stranding, as well as a release date. The PlayStation 4 exclusive open-world action game will be released on November 8th, 2019. Death Stranding new trailer runs nearly 9 minutes and offers a look at a wide variety of gameplay, from traversing new environments, to motorcycle riding, to gunfights against otherworldly soldiers, to new storylines and new characters. Alongside the release date in the trailer, Kojima released a new statement about the themes of Death Stranding and its gameplay. People have created quote-unquote walls and become accustomed to living in isolation. Death Stranding is a completely new type of action game, where the goal of the player is to reconnect isolated cities and a fragmented society. It is created so that all elements, including the story and gameplay, are bound together by the theme of the strand, or connection. As Sam Porter Bridges, you will attempt to bridge the divides in society, and in doing create new bonds or strands with other players around the globe. Uh, Through your experience playing the game, I hope you will come to understand the true importance of forging connection with others. Hideo Kojima first unveiled Death Stranding at E3 2016, just a few months after confirming his departure from Konami and establishing a partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment. Kojima Productions has since released multiple teasers and trailers for Death Stranding at events like E3, TGS, Tokyo Game Show, and the Game Awards, although many of them have offered opaque, sometimes bizarre insights into its gameplay and world. Death Stranding stars Norman Reedus as Sam Bridges, a courier who must explore a dark, open world transformed by a mysterious phenomenon known as the Death Stranding. Sam and players are tasked with reuniting the game's shattered world by forging new connections. The game also features Mads Mikkelsen, Léa Seydoux, Lindsay Wagner, Troy Baker, and Guillermo del Toro. So, that came out last week. I watched the Twitch stream as it was a bunch of hands revealing the trailer.
Yeah.
You were going to show something.
Well, I saw a handful of tweets from Kojima. This is one of those games that we've talked over and over about, that the more you see about this game, the less you understand. Like, we're trying to make connections in the real world and the virtual world, and but we're traveling around this United States, trying to rebuild the United States, but carrying a baby in a jar. And here's a tweet from Hideo Kojima. Sam, the protagonist, as a player, also plays as Norman Reedus himself at the same time. So something like Oyama that ruins the game atmosphere won't exist. What?
What is Oyama?
Let's do a quick Oyama.
Probably origin short for Oyama Ingyo, puppet made by or in the style of brothers. Oyama, but later is also instances of female impersonator, beautiful woman, or prostitute.
Well, that's about as clear as mud, and that's the story of this game. It seems like it's playing a version of himself, but not himself, but a different version. And let me say that tweet again. Sam, as a player, also plays as Norman Reedus himself at the same time. So
he's Norman Reedus playing.
Is Norman Reedus like a real person in the game, and then he's got to like go into this baby mail service world as Sam? Or no, but Sam is playing as Norman Reedus.
Right.
Or is Norman Reedus playing as, because Norman Reedus is playing as Sam.
And Sam is actually Norman Reedus.
And Sam is actually Norman Reedus.
But he donned a fake name.
It's like a double blind kind of deal.
Yeah.
There was another tweet I saw soon after, if I could find it. This game looks weird. I'm sure it'll be great. Because it's Kojima. I wasn't crazy about 5 though. Metal Gear Solid 5. It had some really interesting things, but I kind of got bored. But I think everybody had some complaints about that game.
Yeah.
Okay. Close. It was something about Mads Mikkelsen. Milkinson. No, Mads Mikkelsen. It's like, if you like Mads Mikkelsen, or Mikkelsen, then you'll like this game because I've got like smoking Mads Mikkelsen, and then
I've seen that.
Yeah,
it's like so many different versions of Mads.
Yeah. He tweets way too much. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Anyway, if you're interested, just follow Hideo Kojima. He is a very interesting fellow.
Yeah.
And we will look forward to being confused on November 8th.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the game. I mean, even I watched all 9 minutes, and I still don't know that I have any sort of grasp on what I'm supposed to be doing. There's some first-person elements. There's third-person elements. There's, there is there's some things that look like straight out of Call of Duty, and then some things that I've like never seen before in my life, which I have to say is something that like is impressive. Like, normally you kind of expect, like when I see movies anymore, I'm like, I kind of expect what's gonna happen. I have no idea
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
You never have any idea. But we did get a little peek at gameplay. We saw him like building a giant ladder and punching a couple dudes with a briefcase, and him being like carried off by these invisible oil creatures.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Looks interesting. Looks weird. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it. Well, we got into release date, so we might not hear much more about it.
Yeah.
Until it
Comes
releases.
out.
So keep an eye out for that.
But we do have like today is a bunch of new games, new information.
Yep.
So the next
So the Call of Duty, I think did we mention the rumor?
we hadn't. I don't think we knew anything.
Call of Duty 2019 is a Modern Warfare reboot. Release date set for October by Oscar Diaz at GameSpot. The annual pre-E3 announcement of the year's Call of Duty game has arrived. As it turns out, the scuttlebutt detailing what to expect wasn't too far off the mark. There were leaks and rumors suggesting 2019's Call of Duty title, was a new entry in the Infinity Ward Modern Warfare subseries, and they've proven to be mostly correct. Activision revealed 2019's entry as Call of Duty Modern Warfare, with a trailer giving a sense of the game. I was expecting more. Its release date is set for October 25th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and it features some significant and welcome changes on the multiplayer front that should make it a lot more welcoming for players, along with what Infinity Ward calls a more realistic style of single-player campaign. Notably, this is not Modern Warfare 4, which would have been the next numbered entry in the series. The game's subtitle is simply Modern Warfare, and it serves as a reboot of sorts for 2007's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. It's decidedly not a remake, with developer Infinity Ward, the studio responsible for all the Modern Warfare games, describing it as instead a reimagining. The new game is not set in the same universe as the existing trilogy. Infinity Ward says that world left little room to raise the stakes further, but it does feature some familiar faces. Captain Price is back, for example, with a new voice actor. As previously confirmed, this year's Call of Duty will include a single-player campaign. It seems, though the story will concern Russian interactions with the Middle East, it seems as though the story will concern Russian interactions in the Middle East, while enemies will include an ultra-nationalist group helping to execute terrorist attacks in major cities such as London. Modern Warfare will, of course, include a multiplayer mode, but Infinity Ward hasn't yet revealed much more detail on that portion of the game. It did say, however, that your progression in the campaign will carry over to multiplayer, meaning you'll always be working towards unlocking a new kill streak, perks, and weapons. Excitingly, the game will feature crossplay. This is probably the biggest news of this thing, is the game will feature full crossplay across PS4, Xbox One, and PC, allowing players on all platforms to jump into matches together. Another major change for multiplayer fans is that Activision will not be selling the standard season pass that locks off new post-launch multiplayer maps. Instead, new maps and events will be available to all players for free. The company has not confirmed what might take its place, if anything, nor do we know if the Blackout multiplayer mode from Black Ops 4 will return. One thing that isn't changing is the game's timed PS4 exclusivity. Like recent COD entries, DLC from the release will release first on PlayStation 4. Like with Black Ops 4, this window is only 7 days. Beyond that, we don't know any specifics of how Activision will handle the rollout of this content, or if it will impact crossplay during that exclusivity period. And the rest is about the original Call of Duty. And we already said release on Xbox One, PS4, and PC on October 25th.
That's right.
So,
I would say, I think Activision has the best probably the best like game cycle because like as soon as a game comes out, like there was a lot of drama about the last game not having single player, and all of a sudden we're not talking about the fact that the last game didn't have single player anymore.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about a new game. It's like they don't because of their release schedule, they don't have to linger on bad press for very long. Maybe
because there's going to be another one.
3 to 4 months of bad press, and then all of a sudden, what's the new game about? And maybe people are excited, maybe or not. I watched the trailer. I mean, I also said I was going to get World War II, Call of Duty World War II, and I never did, and I would still like to play it. And this game, like, maybe I'll get my hands into.
You know, Modern Warfare was one of the first, first-person shooters that I wouldn't. I don't know if I would say it's the first because I played. It just left Medal of Honor. Played those games, and I'm pretty sure I played like Call of Duty, the 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed the Modern Warfare series, at least the first two, and then the Black Ops series. After a while, it got a little crazy. There was just like, how much bigger can we get? And so I appreciate them like trying to pulling back the reins. Like, all right, let's stop jumping around and jetpacks and mechs and futuristic weapons. Let's bring it back down to the ground. Mm-hmm. And let's tell a real current story. I heard some like gameplay feature, like story points. Like it's going to be more tactical, more visceral.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be thinking about civilian casualties bigger than they did.
Right, and like one of the missions has you like you have to go find this terrorist or something, and you bust into this house that's in like a downtown London, and there's just people like sitting down playing cards and watching TV, and not all of them are going to be like the terrorists, and you have to be able to, like, I don't know, pick out the ones, or you'll actually see these just normal dudes sitting around. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be like just clear enemies as you would, as we normally expect. It's going to be
and I think that's probably a good thing because it's just like as television shows about terrorism and everything else kind of evolve and start making you think about how things work in a different way. We're no longer like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. I played it, but I don't remember much about the story. But like, there was not much in the way of making you think about who was who and whatever. Now I know in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 that was the first time where you did have to think about what you're doing.
Right, the mission No Russian where you had to walk around this airport where you didn't have to, and you didn't actually have to watch the thing because you could opt out of it at the beginning of the game. But the mission was you had to walk. You were an undercover like agent or something in this terrorist cell, and you were walking through this airport, and you would participate in a mass shooting, basically. And it caused some controversy, of course, because of Call of Duty. It's a game. How can you gamify these kind of events? Yeah. And that brings on the question, this brings on the art question of games. Mm-hmm. Are games art? Can games effectively and sensitively bring up these questions in a game that you have to play? Can they do that in a way that doesn't feel like cheap?
Right.
And people might argue that Call of Duty isn't the game to do that, but I don't think anything can. I don't think any game should or should not be allowed to attempt to tell a real story.
And I think, Call of Duty probably is the best game to do it with because it has the most marketing appeal. I know more people who play Call of Duty than I do who play whatever.
And ultimately, it'll be about going online and shooting with your friends or whatever like that. But if there's a real story, like there was another beat I heard about, there's basically you have to play as like a little girl or a little boy, in a scene where your town is being attacked by like this extremist group in the town. They think you're helping the Americans or something like that, and this guy comes. It's like you, your brother, and the dad, and the dad's trying to like protect you, and then this guy like breaks into the house, and they start fighting with the guy's dad or the kid's dad, and knocks out the dad and starts coming after you as a kid, and you have to like sneak around the house and try to take out this guy, and you're just a kid, so you don't have like. You have to like pick up a knife out of the kitchen and try to like stop this dude and save your brother and save your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think while it's gamifying a real life situation that could be seen as cheap or cheapening, but I think if they do it right, if they present it in a good way, and I think it needs to be done, and I think this story sounds interesting. So
Yeah. Next new game announcement: Marvel's Avengers will feature hero customization in single and multiplayer. This is from Joe Scrubbles at IGN. Also, this is just going on the notion that Marvel Avengers has been confirmed to be at the Square Enix press conference next week on Monday night, which is super exciting because I've not waited like anxiously, but I'm like, when are they gonna come out with that?
Mm-hmm.
So finally, we're hearing about that.
People have been arguing about the symbol for the Avengers game, and I think it just looks like
it doesn't look any different than any of the other symbol.
Yeah, I think it just looks like the Avengers symbol, right?
I have to look at it now.
Like, is there a difference between the?
What's wrong with that?
Well, no. Is that part of the Marvel like MCU universe? Like, I don't know if or the one that was in Spider-Man.
I haven't looked. I wasn't paying enough.
Are they? I mean, that just looks like the same one. I don't know if that's just branding.
I mean, you can see the 4 or whatever, but
does that mean the Fantastic Four are going to be part of?
Who knows? All right. Well, let's talk about the game. Marvel's Avenger only got an official title yesterday, but seems to have mistakenly gotten some early gameplay details soon after. As spotted by Evan Filarka on Twitter via PC Gamer, a since revised E3 Coliseum show listing for the game seemed to reveal elements of what's in store from the Crystal Dynamics game. Here's the original description in full. Embrace your powers and join key members of the development team at Crystal Dynamics and the creative team at Marvel Games as they talk exclusively about the upcoming Marvel's Avengers. This is the defining Avengers game experience, an epic action-adventure that combines cinematic storytelling with continuous single-player and cooperative gameplay. Moderated by Andrea Renee, assemble in teams of up to 4 players, master extraordinary abilities, customize your heroes to fit your playstyle, and combine powers to defend an ever-expanding world under constant threat. The mentions of continuous single-player and co-op, combining powers as a team, and customizable heroes is giving me a Destiny meets Injustice vibe that I am entirely okay with. This is the author of this, of course. Beyond the title, this description marks more or less all the concrete new information that we have about Square Enix published game at this point. But for everything else we've learned since its very first tease, we've got you covered, blah, blah, blah. The Square Enix conference is on Monday, June 10th. And then the E3 Coliseum panel takes place on Tuesday, June 11th.
And to lend weight to this potential leak or whatever, Andrea Renee is, in fact, hosting that panel. So I would say most of this write-up is probably true.
Yeah. As I said, I've been looking forward to this only because regardless of if it's related to, Marvel's Spider-Man, which the fact that, I don't know how much you should put weight into the fact that it's Marvel's Spider-Man, Marvel's Avengers. Mm-hmm. The ownership of the game. It's not.
I think it should be 3 groups of 3. Between groups of 3, it's 6.
What do you mean?
For the Avengers, it says up to 4 players. I think it should be between.
Sorry, my brain wasn't there yet.
Mine was. Sorry.
So, interestingly, if it's groups of 3 or 6, you just want it to be Destiny.
Yes.
But I see this whole thing about customizable heroes and stuff. I don't necessarily dislike it, but like, am I playing an MMO or am I playing a story-driven? Like, is it going to be Destiny or is it going to be Anthem?
What if it plays like Spider-Man, but Destiny?
If it acknowledges that all 4 of you are there.
Well, right. It's got to be like, okay, I think it's got to be somewhat like, you might have an open world kind of deal, but they got to be structured missions, and they got to acknowledge whoever's with you. Mm-hmm. So, like, you can have up to 4 players, and there's a series of characters you could choose from. Or, like,
But then that becomes Ultimate Alliance.
Yes, but if I want to be Spider-Man, maybe I want to be Spider-Man in the Iron Spider suit with like
Do you think they'll have Spider-Man?
how can you do the Avengers without Spider-Man?
I mean, if it's all in the same world.
They have not really confirmed or denied. They've been like very cagey about
Yeah.
is if this universe is connected. I think at the time of writing Spider-Man, it was not intended to be a connected universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything keeping it from being a connected universe. But I think it'll be connected in the comic book sort of way. Like things can happen and it doesn't necessarily have to affect each other. But if they want to come together, they can do that.
Yeah.
I think that's
the thing about games is that they have longer cycles. You can't just make a decision like that.
Right.
And then change the.
But you couldn't have a group of 3 Spider-Men.
No.
Or like there had to be like rules and boundaries, and that could get a little in the mud.
Or are you creating your own Avenger? In which case, that's like DCUO, and I don't know if I feel about that.
I don't want to create.
I want to play as Thor or Iron Man or. Whoever.
Could you imagine playing as Thor and it feeling like the Leviathan axe from God of War?
What can you imagine? Well, see, what I'm curious about is like if you're playing as Thor, or let's say a more grounded character like the Hulk or Hawkeye or whatever, and I'm playing as Iron Man. I don't want Iron Man to be relegated to the same scale that Hawkeye is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
you want to be able to fly around.
Like where I'm up here and you're taking care of things down here, like Anthem's supposed to be. Because I know in like Ultimate Alliance or stuff, it's kind of more narrow. It's kind of like you can fly around and stuff, but but it doesn't have the same scale as what it should feel like.
No, it needs to be like the raid boss, like Atheon, but like in a like a huge room, whatever. And you can be Iron Man, and you can fly around and start like picking them off, and then I could be Hawkeye setting traps, taking out ads, going around, and then the Hulk's just going around smashing all the buttons or whatever, and then you have someone else who's playing, Thor, and he's just flying around throwing his hammer and cause lightning coming down. So I could see that being like really cool, but only if it works.
And only, I mean, it really.
But the thing is, they all have to feel good. They can't be like, well, this is fine.
It can't feel unilateral, I think.
Right. I can't be Thor and be like, well, he throws the hammer, but it automatically comes back. Or, like, it can't be like, he's kind of powerful, but for some reason it feels like Iron Man's the most powerful. Why does it feel like Iron Man is more powerful than Thor, who should be able to, like, run through all these guys? Or why is Black Widow, like, stronger than the Hulk? Or,
right.
Everybody's got to feel right and good. And they all need to be interchangeable in each mission. Like, if I'm going to play as Vision, like, the story has to make sense.
Yeah.
And so that's why I would think you'd have to be relegated to, okay, here's the Avengers that are here for this crisis because Spider-Man is doing something or whatever. They could write off another event going on that everybody's not here for the Avengers. But the main Avengers here, you have Captain America and Iron Man and Thor. You have to have like some of the main characters, and you have to be able to play as them.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the new kid from South Park.
Yeah.
Like in South Park, that was fine, but I want to be Iron Man.
Right.
So.
And to be completely frank about it all, we know nothing.
No.
Other than the fact that there's going to be 4 players, maybe.
It looks like up to 4 players. It'd be a semi-cooperative, single-player story. But the thing is, as long as it makes sense, if I could play, I could play it by myself and probably do just fine.
Right.
But if I'm Spider-Man and Iron Man's here, I want them to knowledge that we're both here and not just me we're having our own like individual cutscenes. Like we're here together because we're a team, and that's the point.
Exactly.
So,
all right. Now that we're done talking about Avengers, let's talk about Pokemon.
Pokemon. New Pokemon games, hardware, and services announced by Luke.
Announced
by Luke Plunkett. Luke Plunkett did not announce these.
No.
This is at Kotaku. And I watched this press conference, and it was just
crazy,
awful. It was
awful?
terrible.
Oh,
it was hilariously bad.
Yikes!
It was one of those like. It could have been a press release, like a blog post, a fart. Like at a press conference in Tokyo today, the Pokemon Company has taken this to the stage and showed off a range of new games, services, and hardware that are coming over the next year or so. First is a Pokemon Home, a new cloud-based service which is where pretty much every new and big Pokemon game, from Pokemon Go to the upcoming Sword and Shield, will let you store and share your Pokemon across platforms. It's like Pokemon Bank. You can just literally put your Pokemon into a bank, and then from like Ultra Moon or Sun, and then go into Pokemon Go or Pokemon Sword and Shield and pull out that Pokemon.
Oh, right.
So if you're someone who's like, I spent so long breeding, getting into the EV or whatever stats of this Pokemon, that now it's just stuck on this game. I want to bring it forward because, well, that's where everybody's going to be competing at. And if I want to compete in like tournaments or online or something like that, now you can bring your Pokemon with you.
Well, that's neat.
So then there's Pokemon. Hang on. Yeah. This is a real thing. Then there's Pokemon Sleep, a new mobile game from the developers behind Magikarp Jump. It's out in 2020, and here's the official description. Just so you know, it's a real thing and not me making this up. That's word for word in the article. Soon, trainers will be able to wake up with Pokemon every morning with Pokemon Sleep, a mobile app from the Pokemon Company. The Pokemon Sleep aims to turn sleeping into entertainment by having a player's time spent sleeping and the time they wake up affect the gameplay. While more details about the app's functionality will be revealed at a later date, it was announced that a new device from Nintendo, with the original release of Pokemon Let's Go, I think it was, they came out with a device called the Pokemon Go Plus, which was this little like
Pokeball.
yeah. Well, there was one before that. There was one that looked like the little like location tag.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Pokemon Go Plus.
Oh, okay.
No, and then there was the Plus was the Pokeball. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. Well, now there's a new device. It looks like a Pokeball disc, like a coaster, and it's called the Pokemon Go Plus Plus.
Don't plus cancel each other out and become a minus?
No. No, that's not how it works. Pokemon Go Plus Plus will connect to Pokemon Sleep and launch with the app. With a nap.
Get through the article.
I'm sorry, this is just so funny. The device will use an embedded accelerometer to track a user's sleeping and send this information to their smartphone via Bluetooth. This new device has also the same functions as the original Pokemon Go Plus, so trainers can use it with Pokemon Go during the day and with Pokemon Sleep at night. Trainers can look forward to the Pokemon Sleep launching for mobile devices in 2020. To celebrate this early look at Pokemon Sleep, trainers around the world will have the chance to encounter Snorlax that are lying down in deep sleep in Pokemon Go beginning today. The new hardware will also be used by Pokemon Go. It's
just saying Niantic will also track it for...
It works. It's sitting in your bed, or I guess, or on your nightstand, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Finally, Pokemon Masters is another mobile game featuring a collection of the series of the, I think it's the anime series is specifically. The trainers and their main Pokemon. With gameplay seeming to focus on 3v3 battles, it'll be out later this year.
Laugh all you want at this Pokemon Sleep thing. People will use it.
The press conference was terrible.
I'm not saying anything about that.
It was just like, it felt like a prank. Like an SNL skit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this totally could have been an SNL, because it starts off with this, like, super business Japanese man, like, in this Pokemon, like button-up shirt. They advertised at the end of it. And he invites this other dude who comes on. He speaks in, they're all talking in Japanese. It's translated. They talk about it being translated into 3 different languages, how great it is, blah, blah, blah. And then the other dude starts talking about Godzilla, and because they were talking about Detective Pikachu, and he's like, "Oh, and if you want to see Ken Watanabe in movies again, Godzilla is out. Has nothing to do with Pokemon, but I probably shouldn't have said that." And then it goes back to the other dude, and then he was like, "Thank you for bringing up Godzilla. Not sure why you brought that up. It has nothing to do with Pokemon at all. Well, let's continue."
Did he say that?
Yes. Like, and like I was waiting for the translator to just start busting out laughing because everybody is laughing at this. And then they had the guy from Nintendo. They had a Nintendo guy because this is the Pokemon company. This isn't a Nintendo thing.
Right.
Then they had the guy from Nintendo come out talk about this new hardware. He sticks his hand in his pocket and is talking, and then he pulls out the Pokemon Go Plus Plus. We're like, what? After talking about Pokemon Sleep, we have the Pokemon Go Plus Plus. Like, really? And then, but we'd already seen it in the trailer they had shown.
Oh. So he was acting like it was a big secret.
Yeah, he was acting like it was a big secret. We're like, oh, we just saw that like 2 seconds ago. And then it switches to the only white guy from Niantic. And he talks about the stuff, the functionality, blah, blah, blah. And that's all we have to talk about in the topic of sleep. And it goes back to the other dude, and they finish their saying, and that's all we have to do to talk about sleep. And then they go into something different. It was just like so bizarre. Oh, and remember how Pokemon Detective Pikachu, how it's really cool, and that's going on. And then there was a game from the 3DS. Well, we're working on a new version for the Switch. Not sure if it's like, wasn't very clear if it was a sequel or like a reimagining or like they were unclear about it. Didn't say it was when it was coming out, what they were working on. It just said they were working on it. And then showed Pokemon Masters, which actually looks like an super interesting, but it looked like a 3D rendered like battle Pokemon game for your mobile. So it was just like, did this really happen?
I'll have to watch it. No, I saw Pokemon Sleep on like a headline. And I'm like, that can't be real. And then, but I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I use a sleeping app that tracks me.
Sure, whatever. But it was just like, really. And then, like they're wrapping it up. I mean, this was like a 35-minute press conference. And then and they were like wrapping up. And one more thing. You see these shirts we've all been wearing? That's from like this special like Pokemon shirt line that's only been available in Asia. Well, now they're going to be available everywhere. Have a good day. And then,
riveting.
Like, and everybody who came on to this like terrible like I don't know, like Muzak jingle. Like from the 80s or something. It was hilarious.
Well, it sounds like Josh hates Pokemon Company.
It was bad. And during that time, Nintendo of America was like, don't worry, there's a Nintendo Direct. There's an actual Direct for Pokemon Sword and Shield coming out on June 5th.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, this was not us. This was not our idea.
Not paid in to do it.
Wait till then.
Yeah.
So even Nintendo was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the question we asked last week when they announced this Pokemon press conference and then Sword and Shield, and then they're going to do a Nintendo Direct. I'm like,
yeah.
How are they going? What
Clearly
are they going?
They didn't talk about much game news or like worthy game news at the Pokemon Company press conference.
It could have been an email. Like it could have been a blog post.
Yeah. They say, hey, we have 3 new games.
I mean,
coming
Niantic and Nintendo sent somebody over for this.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Anyway,
but you should have been there.
And they streamed it online. Like,
I don't know. They put a lot of money in it. Well,
anyway,
less funny news, I'm sure, but very exciting news for those who don't have an Xbox. Microsoft is to launch an Xbox Game Pass on PC. This is from Matthew Handerhan on GamesIndustry.biz. Something I did not know wasn't already a thing.
Yeah, I thought it was already on there.
Microsoft will launch a new version of Xbox Game Pass on PC, which will include day-and-date releases of new games from Xbox Game Studios. In a blog post published today, Xbox head Phil Spencer described the unique responsibility Microsoft has, as a creator of Windows, to approach the PC as an open, highly customizable platform. We've not always lived up to our aspiration of keeping gamers at the center of everything we do when it comes to the experience they've had on Windows, he said. However, 2 years from the launch of Xbox Game Pass on console, Microsoft has recognized a similar opportunity for developers and players on PC. We designed a service specifically for the needs of PC gamers and PC game developers, Spencer continued. It is called Xbox Game Pass, just like the original, but it's a new experience that we are building together with the PC community. Fundamentally, though, the PC version of Xbox Game Pass will adhere to what has made the service such a hit on console. Subscribers will get unlimited access to a library of games. Spencer said it will have a curated selection of more than 100 from publishers including Bethesda, Deep Silver, Devolver Digital, Paradox Interactive, and Sega. In addition, new games from Microsoft internal studios will be available on Xbox Game Pass PC on the day of their global release. This will include titles from recently acquired studios like Obsidian Entertainment and In Exile Entertainment, Spencer said. We're working with over 75 developers and publishers to bring PC content to the service, and we'll ensure the library remains curated and full of great PC titles across a variety of genres, with the new games added every month. Microsoft will share more on Xbox Game Pass for PC at E3, including details of the games that will be included in the library. Spencer offered no information on a specific launch date or what the service will cost. On console, Xbox Game Pass costs €7.99 or $9.99 a month in US dollars. So it's cool that it's coming to PC. It was something I just thought about that I'm just curious how it will fit into the PC ecosystem. Is that I guess this is inherently trying, well, maybe not attempting to, but will take the place of something like Steam or Epic Game Store, since this is a new game store, sort of. But you're not buying games on Xbox Game Pass; you're just playing games on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't think it's like that. It's just like having a Netflix. Interesting to me though is that it seems like it's not the same service.
Right.
It's a different service, and presumably you'd have to pay for both if you wanted it on your PC and your Xbox.
That would be strange. But it makes. I mean, what they said. Yes.
The way they're saying it, I mean, Xbox Game Pass on PC, and they're very specific with that branding, that on PC, and it's Xbox Game Pass just vanilla costs $9.99 a month on Xbox. So it just cleared, not clear whether you would have to give multiple subscriptions.
Right.
Kind of like for the Origin Access deal.
Yeah.
Like you would have to have multiple for PS4, Xbox, or PC.
Yeah.
Also, it almost sounds like that the titles may not even be the same across, and that might be a licensing deal. Maybe Microsoft has deals in Xbox Game Pass right now that they don't have the PC publishing rights to put it on a platform like that. And so that could be why it's in a different SKU, because I can't put this one on PC because they won't let us, because we haven't worked out that right.
Right.
So,
but I did think was interesting is that all Xbox Game Studios games will be coming to it day and date. So
yes.
And it also said games from the publishers, which made me think maybe the Outer Worlds will also come to it day and date. I'm curious if even though Outer World is a previously created title by Obsidian, that they will come up with something.
It says specifically, new games from Microsoft's internal studios will be available on Xbox Game Pass PC on the day of their global release. That includes Obsidian Entertainment. So Obsidian Entertainment is a Microsoft internal studio, regardless of whether Outer Worlds is a Microsoft published game.
Right.
So that game, according to this, would be on the service.
Right. So I think that's super interesting and
super cool.
I don't know if that I'll ever be able to have access to it because I only have my laptop here. But it'll still be fun to mess around with.
All right. Moving right along, because we're going a little long today. The processing power of the PS5 is incredible, claims developer by Tyler Fisher over at comicbook.com. We know the PlayStation 5 is packing some powerful innards, but we don't know exactly what to expect from the next-gen PlayStation console. That said, as the next generation of console gaming draws closer, developers are beginning to talk about the upcoming systems, including Yakuza series director Toshihiro Nagoshi, who claims most notably that the PS5 boasts some, quote, impressive processing power. Speaking during a recent Seigen Nama broadcast, Nagoshi revealed that he and his team are already thinking of what to utilize the PS5's next level processing power to improve the series' gameplay. But beyond the gameplay improvements, the processing of the PS5 is important because, according to Nagoshi, it will bring back the quote, programmable area, where rather than simple graphical improvements, developers will have more freedom to expand on things like machine learning and AI. Quote, the processing power of the PlayStation 5 is incredible. So when we try to think of new gameplay that will utilize its full potential, I'm not really sure which aspects of existing mechanics we should translate. First, there was a time when graphics improved, and then there was network features, and now I guess you could say it's a return to the programmable era. I think artificial intelligence and machine learning will continue to evolve. If you would pour its power into graphics, it'll be the best that we've yet to see. And I think everyone is thinking about it in a way that we should use that power. I as well. Hang on.
No, you said all that right.
There's artificial intelligence and many other things I want to think about. Nagoshi also noted the PS4 is going to remain the focus for a while, even after the PS5 releases. Presumably because that's where the bigger player base will be. In other words, we'll probably won't see the full power of the PS5 utilized for a little bit because developers will be making cross-gen releases and thus will be limited by the PS4. So more PS5 news. It sounds cool. I mean, that's kind of the stuff we've been talking about, like how much more impressive can graphics get than God of War and like Red Dead 2.
Right.
So what the future will be is how can we decrease load times? How can we make AI smarter? How can we do things a little differently, like the Nemesis system from the Shadow of Mordor series?
Right.
And how can we make things play a little differently? And that'll be the more interesting jump in technology.
Yeah.
Until something feels like it's doing something that we just was just physically not possible on the whole hardware, just because of the limitations.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that the struggle between crossing generations is that you have to, for at least 2 to 3 years, have to make games that are compatible for both systems.
Right. I mean, there's 100 million PS4s out there. You can't just be like, well, we're only going to make PS5 games, but so screw the next,
That's why you create a trade-in deal where you can trade in your PS4 for maybe like $200 off base price for.
Oh, that's
PS5.
what we're gonna try. I'm gonna try to do is trade in the PS4 Pro for the PS5 Plus or whatever.
Our last news story of today is about is another E3 leak.
We'll know for sure next week.
Yeah, E3 2019 Ubisoft Pass leaks online. This is from Eddie McCook from GameSpot. A listing for what could be a new Ubisoft game streaming service or something potentially similar has emerged online ahead of E3 2019. Members of the Reset Era forum spotted a placeholder listing for something called Ubisoft Pass. The listing has since been removed, but they report that the Ubisoft store also had a page dedicated to subscription services that also has since been taken down. That is curious since Ubisoft does not currently operate any subscription services. The original placeholder image was for a premium version of Ubisoft Pass, the wording suggesting that if the service is real, may be available on different tiers. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot is a big believer in streaming as a technology that will be a huge deal for gaming going forward. With time, I think streaming will become more accessible to many players and make it not necessary to have big hardware at home. There will be one more console generation, and then after that will be streaming for all of us, Guillemot told Variety in 2018. For a streaming service to have success, you need content. As one of the biggest publishers in gaming, Ubisoft is not lacking in games, as its backlog is deep and rich with major franchises such as Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Splinter Cell, Rabbids, Watch Dogs, and many others. Ubisoft worked with Google on a company's streaming platform, Stadia, and it wouldn't be surprising to see that Ubisoft be announced as one of Stadia's third-party partners this summer. As Ubisoft spokesperson told GameSpot, we do not comment on any rumors or speculation. If not a streaming service, it's possible that Ubisoft Pass could be an EA Access style offering where people can pay monthly to get access for a variety of titles. This is only speculation, however. For now, you should take all this with a grain of salt, as Ubisoft has made no announcements. Remember, Ubisoft's E3 2019 briefing takes place on Monday, June 10th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And, yeah. I mean,
what if this pass, like I could go on to, maybe I could go online onto a computer and sign up for this pass, and I have to pay $20 a month or $10 a month or $5 a month, and I get access to all Ubisoft titles. And then if I pay another price, I get access to all Ubisoft. If I pay at the premium, I get access to all Ubisoft titles on any platform. So I could go on my PS4 and just like type in my go in the browser or something, type in my Uplay, and they just give me a code for the game on the PS4 or something like that.
That would be interesting. And then like if they did something where like all the gameplay is on their servers, then you could play it on your PS4 and then go to Google Stadia and then just pop up where you left off.
And that way, when you go to open up Google Stadia and you click on the Uplay icon and sign into Uplay, and now you have access to all your games and saves.
Yeah.
And then now you can open up your phone and download any mobile software from Ubisoft and.
But that shouldn't be the only way to play Ubisoft games because
I could still buy their games if I wanted to,
right.
Just on as I would normally would. But that would also be future-proofing them from the streaming future that he's already seeing coming. So I don't buy we only have one left, but because people still need hardware, and it's going to be more than 10 years before the entire country is wired for streaming. And so middle of America, even big cities that just don't have the internet bandwidth are going to need are going to have a demand for traditional consoles for the next 15 years. I would say,
and people
for
just
sure.
like going out and buying something.
Yeah,
and that's something that shouldn't be taken advantage of.
I like having the piece of hardware sitting on my computer or
it's something you crowd
entertainment
around.
center.
It's stuff like that. So anyway, we'll be interested to see like next week. All of these questions are going to be at least mostly answered.
Yeah,
I don't think there will be anything that's super disappointing. I think it'll all just be. I think this next week is going to be really telling about how we're going to end out this cycle. So we will find out more about then. Remember, like we said at the top of the show, we will be doing 3 videos. One on Monday recapping Microsoft's press conference. One on Tuesday recapping the any of the third parties press conferences, and then on Wednesday we'll be doing an overall video just summing up each of the press conferences as a whole and what to expect from E3. Also, there are some changes coming up to Ware Gaming Weekly after next week. The format of Ware Gaming Weekly will change slightly, but I can't tell you what it is yet because we don't know.
Yeah.
Most likely, it'll be you'll just see when it happens. We might not have a video up the week after E3, or we will. But just keep track of that. I'm moving to Los Angeles, so at least for a while.
For the next few months, at least.
And
so we've got to basically come up with a way either to Skype in interview, or do it that way, and just to see if our bandwidth here can handle doing the Skype call and then recording it and doing the audio and putting it all together and trying to export it, and so it's a whole deal.
Yeah, but we're very excited. I'm very excited, and we're looking forward to it. So Just keep watching. Before we go, here are the games that are coming out in the next week. I only got 4 of them. Hell Let Loose comes to PC on June 6th. The Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel 2 comes to PS4 on June 7th. Octopath Traveler comes out on June 7th. Battle
PC.
World on PC. And Battle Worlds Chronos comes to Switch on June 11th. Also, this month's June's PlayStation Plus games are Borderlands: The Handsome Collection and Sonic Mania. So go download those.
You know, I never, I don't really look for them, but I don't see announcements for the games with gold.
Yeah, I don't either.
It doesn't pop up in my feed. It doesn't,
Yeah.
So.
We probably should just start looking for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, you can follow us at Ware Gaming _. You can write into us at weekly@waregaming. And if you want to talk to me, you can tweet at me at SpeakNicklish.
And you can tweet at me at Jaws1015. And until next week, say goodbye, Nick.
Bye, Nick.